Welcome to episode 42, Getting Comfortable with Uncomfortable Conversations. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/blakemallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode. Walk with me for a few minutes. So how do you personally feel about having uncomfortable conversations? You know exactly what conversations I'm talking about. When I say like physically, emotionally uncomfortable. I know there's some personalities we all can probably pop into our mind that it seems like they enjoy confrontation. Have you ever met people like that? Like they like the energy of it. That's not me. I'm definitely in the other bucket or category of people that tend to not like confrontation. My natural nature is to try to stay away or shy away from it. And therefore, when it comes to having uncomfortable conversations, they're not at the top of my priority list, my most fun things to do list, like things I get joy list. How about you guys? How do you personally feel about uncomfortable conversations? And I want to talk about that today because I do think the season we're in right now, because of the environment, because of the necessary change that is happening and will continue to happen as we adjust and adapt to what inevitably a new normal will be, I think there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations, even just by the nature of how we're living right now. More time with certain people, less time and proximity with others. So whether it be on the professional level or the personal level in our life, I don't know about you, but I'm willing to bet uncomfortable conversations can and should, and I'll even say must, be had. And here's what I've learned. You guys tell me if you agree in your experience. So when it comes to having uncomfortable conversations, I've learned a couple things. Number one, they're necessary. In other words, you can't run from them. You can't ignore them. You can't put them on a shelf forever. They are necessary to have. The second thing I've learned is uncomfortable doesn't mean negative. In other words, in my career, I've had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations at all levels through my companies and business and entrepreneurial ventures, through just leading people and developing entrepreneurs and working with communities. And obviously we all face it in our personal lives and relationships. And I've learned that no matter how uncomfortable we may feel going into them, they're not all negative. They don't have to be negative. Matter of fact, some of the most positive outcomes have come from uncomfortable conversations. So I've learned that uncomfortable doesn't mean negative. Matter of fact, uncomfortable can mean the exact opposite. It can actually mean positive, progress, growth. And I've also learned that the more you have them, the better you get at having them. So I want to talk with all of you this morning on uncomfortable conversations and maybe some things that I've found can help move you forward, get you through them, and turn them from a fear of a negative to a potential positive in where you want to go. Getting to one of the peaks here. Beautiful view today. Santa Monica down there. See all the way to the ocean. Got Malibu that way. Apologize for the heavier breathing. It is hot this morning. I know some of you guys always ask in the comments, Blake, is it cold? Why are you wearing the beanie? No, it's not cold. I just like the beanie. I like it better than a hat. It keeps the sweat out of my face. It's easy to put on in the morning. So no, it's not cold. I just like it. Yeah, here in Southern California, we call it a beanie. I know across the world, maybe you call it something different. You Canadians, what do you call it? A toque? Is that what you call it up there? But no, I got a bunch of them and I just like it. It's my thing. So some thoughts on uncomfortable conversations. Number one, I think has to be approach an uncomfortable conversation with a genuine curiosity about the other perspectives. How often do we go into a conversation just like heels dug in, rooted in our belief, focused on getting our point across, so much in fact that sometimes we totally shut ourselves out from maybe another perspective that might help us better understand the whole picture that we're dealing with. You guys, let's face it, not any of us are always right all the time. And our perspective, no matter how good or how full or how complete we think it is always going to be limited because it's limited to our perspective, right? We look through the lens of our past-based references, our own experience. And some of the most powerful thing we can realize is there is value in other people's experience, other people's references, and the perspective they choose to take. And, sometimes we can learn a lot by being genuinely curious as we go into a conversation about all sides, as opposed to 100% in a fixed mindset on what you currently believe to be right or true. So I think that's the intention you have to bring in to a conversation. I think number two, you got to approach the communication style with respect and professionalism. Now, this is easy for some, hard for others, but how we choose to communicate means everything. Sometimes you might have the right meaning, but the way we choose to deliver that meaning, the words we use might come across incorrectly. They might be a trigger. Matter of fact, the communication style might totally overshadow the meaning you have behind it. I've met a lot of people in life that sometimes their meaning might be right, even their intention might be right, but the way they choose to communicate it makes it so the person receiving it doesn't hear the intention or the meaning. All they hear is, right, aggressive or ineffective communication. So, I always say be respectful and professional. I used to tell myself, look, how can you be presidential, right, in this conversation? Because, presidential, if you look at past presidents, like a lot of times you don't see them react. You don't see them cloud their communication with emotional energy, right? So how do you be presidential? Now, I understand that the meaning of what presidential communication means today might be shifting given the unique approach of some of the current administration, but you guys get the gist, right? So how do you be presidential? How do you be respectful and professional in your communication style? Kind of carrying on that, number three is you can't argue or debate how someone feels. So you got to be careful when you're hearing a conversation when someone is talking about something versus a feeling, because a feeling is not debatable. In other words, the way somebody feels is how they feel. That is their perception. That is a reality. You can't argue how someone feels. So you got to be careful when you're in uncomfortable conversations. You got to learn to separate the topic at hand or the particular issue or situation and not let that get commingled or muddied with how someone feels. And you got to address them separately, right? So how someone feels is approached with empathy, right? Understanding, trying to meet them where they are. And the topic at hand is what needs to be solved, right? So we got to learn to separate or compartmentalize when you're having uncomfortable conversations. And you got to learn to attack the topic, attack the issue, never attack the person. So often I see uncomfortable conversations go off the rails because a certain high pressure situation, which might be a situation or a topic or a real issue, all of a sudden transcends into a personal attack, or what could be received as a personal attack. Never attack the person, always attack the topic. They're different things, okay? And we got to keep them different things. Let's go number 4. Number 4, it's not about being liked. So if you're someone that chases acceptance or validation or affirmation, sometimes we'll find ourselves chasing the acceptance of the person rather than what's right in the circumstance. You guys got to put what is right, doing the right thing for the right reasons, for the right people, and doing what's right has to be about who's right, and it has to be about chasing affirmation. Guys, not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to like everything you say. Not everyone is going to like everything you do. And that is okay. It is your human right, to still be you, do what you think is right, and say what you think is right, even though not everybody is going to like that. It is perfectly okay, right? So that's number 4, right? Number 5, let's say number 5, you got to listen. Actively listen. Don't just wait for them to finish speaking so you can start what's on your mind. Actively listen and hear the perspectives on the other side. You guys, a really good habit of active listening is repeating the key points that they say. A lot of times when I'm in conversation, I'll repeat, I'll say, hey, let me make sure I understood you correctly. And I'll repeat my understanding of what I heard. And you guys, that little double check, hey, let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly. What I heard is, and repeat it, allows you to align in a conversation. So active listening. Number 6, be direct. Okay, say what you want, say what you mean. This isn't a time for passive aggressiveness. It's not a time to assume that someone knows what's on your mind. Most people are not clairvoyant. They're not mind readers, right? If you beat around the bush, they're not going to understand the melody between the notes. So you got to learn just to be direct. Say what you want, say what you mean. Back it up with examples, for example. And you'll find that a lot of times that goes further faster than trying to skirt around an issue, right? So active listening, be direct in your communication. Here's a big one, okay? So what was that? What are we on, number 6? I think number 7 now. Number 7 would be assume a positive outcome. Assume a positive outcome. So don't go into a confrontational or difficult conversation, right, and assume that it's going to be negative. The outcome of the conversation might very well be what needs to happen. A lot of times, the outcome of uncomfortable conversations is progress. It's alignment. It's solution, right? It's next step. It's clearing the air. It's moving forward together, right? So assume a positive outcome in the conversation. That little flip in your mind going into a uncomfortable conversation to get to a positive outcome changes the entire approach of uncomfortable conversations. You got to go through it in order to move forward. Okay. And, the last one that I'll give, I think this is number 8, if I'm counting correctly here. The last one I'll give is don't put it off. Don't put it off. Do it now, do it now, do it now. The longer you wait and stew, right, over a uncomfortable conversation must be had, the more assumptions get stuck in your head, the more you're, creating fear, right? False expectations appearing real, the more scenarios you'll conjure up that are highly unlikely. And 99.9% of the stuff in your head will never be a reality and won't happen. So the longer you stew on it, the worse that it becomes. You want to get good at, not putting it off, not shelving it, not bottling it up, not, sticking it, to the side, but moving forward, right? And having those conversations, do it now, do it now, do it now, so you can get to that positive outcome. And guys, if you follow these little tips that I just gave, you're going to find that uncomfortable conversations, they might still be uncomfortable. I didn't give you a solution to taking away that feeling. If you figure that one out, if you know that one, let me know. But I've been doing this a long time and I still get the feeling. But it doesn't stop me from moving forward in the conversations. And these are little tips that you can do to get you moving forward and to get the best outcome in the conversation that you can have. So you guys tell me, out of everything we just went over, what are some things that resonate with you? What are some things maybe you've done that you found effective? What are some things maybe you haven't done that you want to immediately take as your own and implement in your next conversations? In the meantime, one last view. I hope it's a beautiful day where all of you are around the world. I hope all of you are staying safe, staying sane, staying healthy during this crazy season. And here's to having a better approach to some more uncomfortable conversations to get to some positive outcomes as we move forward together, better together in this crazy period we're in. I'm gonna get back to my run. Have a great day, everybody, until we walk together again.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.